Hello out there, cats and kittens. This is David returning for a second installment of Adventures in Book Scouting. And thanks for returning if you've already watched the first. I appreciate all your views and your likes and subscribes. And feel free to leave any comments. I'm new at this, so any constructive critiques you want to send my way is fine, or just if you have anything you want to say or dispute or whatever the case may be. But it's good to know that people are out there uh, watching, I guess. And so today, I guess wanted to talk about more things related to book scouting. To reiterate, I'm exclusively an online seller, and have been working with books. Um, I have been an online seller since 2000, and exclusively full time bookseller, online bookseller since 2009. Um, and this is springtime, and spring and fall are the busiest seasons for library sales, and basically, just like things going on. There's a lot of activities in these times of the year. Lots anywhere you might be. I'm sure there's lots of festivals and fairs and things like that, and that's the case also with libraries when I have their Friends of the Library sales and nice weather. Sometimes they're held outdoors or in open air buildings, like the one I just went to yesterday up in Hunterdon County, New Jersey. Sort of a big open air. It's pretty cold too. But anyway, I wanted to talk about a preview night I attended last week at the Wissahickon Valley Public Library, which is in Bluebell, pretty close to where I live in Pennsylvania. And this is a sale I've been going to for many, many years. It's not a great sale, although I found some really good things there over the years. Some nice first editions. Kurt Vonnegut, I found a first edition of Watership Down there. I found a first edition of Infinite Jest. So, for it being a kind of a small room and not the greatest sale, as I said, there's been people who always feel like it's maybe been picked over a little bit by whom we don't know. uh, but it's very well attended. There's a lot of people throwing the books all over the place. That's pet peeve I'll get into some other time. But just I wanted to share some things that I found at the Wissahickon Valley sale. Well, I guess first I will go into the scant sales that I've made in the last 24 hours. Only a couple, but fortunately, sort of supporting my philosophy of less is more that I'm trying to implement more and more. They were good. They were like nice, pricey books, relatively, and so I'd rather sell two nicer, fairly expensive books than spread it out, do the work of, and have to send out 10 books that are $10 or $15 each. I mean, it all sort of same difference, I suppose, but it's you're doing a lot less work when you're dealing with a higher end stuff. Um, the two books I sold. Um, this is a brand new shrink wrapped book, and you see that I deal a lot with older books, but in this case, there was a collection I bought. I'll try to make sure that I hold the books up a little better this time. A collection I bought in 2021 was all like new or brand new art books like this, and I spent a lot of money for it. But over time, I believe the investment was pretty sound, and this one sold for $95. Berth Marceau, uh, Woman Impressionist. I've, of course, um, art books are the things when I go to sales, and this is like uh, the thing that I look for most, or I've come to deal in most, I think, is art-related books, art photography, architecture, um, those, as well as illustrated picture books and things of more collectible nature, signed books, first editions. These are the things that digital print will never replace. These are always going to be desirable. People want to have good quality, especially hardcovers when it comes to art books. Um, People want art libraries or book libraries. So it's all about um, you know coveting the things that no matter what changes that will come or how already have come to the literary landscape. Um, Art books are, these kind of books I mentioned are going to continue to be desirable. So, and this is something I've held on to for I've had this. Okay, this one I mentioned last time that I had sold a book that I had for 3 years. This one I've had for over 10 years, but I got $70 for it. So it's a book about Arnold's Park, an old amusement park in Iowa. Pretty thin volume, but and I haven't yet gone and on my spiel recommendations of things to look out for the books that I mentioned art books and other things, but I will say local history all day and night. Look for these kinds of books. Local small publishing companies, very limited print runs, and people use these for reference, or genealogical, or just they're just not easy to find, but they're very much in demand. Even though in demand, I say this took over 10 years to sell, but not many people maybe after it, but um, you wait, time and time again, I sell these books on local history for quite a bit. Um, so those two were my sales, and now I wanted to go into the books I got at the library sale, which will also give you a good idea of some of the things that I want to look out for and what I would maybe recommend. And I'll try to explain why a little better, perhaps. It always helps to find books that you've sold in the past. This is a book, it's not too lucrative, but it's a solid $20, $25, $30 book, even though it's um, sort of textbookish in a way, and there's a more recent edition that's out in print. But this is like a really nice, sturdy hardcover. It's like a brick. It's really heavy. Space, Time, and Architecture, and I've sold this book in varying editions and conditions many times through the years, and found this one again. So that's a real. I mean, you just know without having to do any research or anything that's going to sell. Here's something I found. I didn't get too much, but I will explain in a bit the things that I did find. Certainly made the visit. Um, Certainly justified my presence there. Sometimes I feel like I shouldn't be going to more and more sales because I've already got so much that I haven't yet gone through and processed and listed. But in this case, it's about 15, 20 minutes away, very local, and their prices are good. $1 for paperbacks and hardcovers, and they have a special price, especially price section, which I tend to just ignore because there's no rhyme and reason for why it's especially priced half the time. But I even picked up a couple of things from there. But anyway, staying the course. Um, John McPhee, um, a famous essayist, and this is one of his early titles. It's Oranges, and the book really is all about oranges. This is the first printing, and it's in beautiful condition. I believe it's from 1967 or 68, one of his earlier titles, as I said, and in this condition with that kind of jacket and no writing or anything in there. About $35 book. This was really cool. Like kind of a Halloweenish item, a very vintage looking in beautiful condition again. This, I'd say, just looking at it, doesn't have a date inside, but I'd estimate it maybe late 60s, early 70s. The Wishing Ring, a fun trip through a haunted house, and on this side is the text, and it's got pop-ups. I'm trying to both be on camera and show you at the same time. And then it has on this side, there's little flaps you open up, which correspond to prompts that are given in the text. Like, it'll say, now open flap number 1, and you open this up, and there's, it's like you solve the mystery by lifting up the flaps and finding clues. It's really cool. And for its scarcity and the condition, I have it listed at $75 on Amazon, a little bit less on other sites, but $60 on Abe. I don't have the same price cross listed on all sites. It can differ. Sometimes it is the same across the board, but it can differ. You have to do the research for Amazon is separate. The pricing is different from different sites. There's a database I use called Homebase, which goes to Abe, Books, Biblio, and Alibris. So the prices are all the same for those. But that the Amazon prices can vary from that, and the eBay prices can vary from that. The difference between the Amazon and eBay prices are usually pretty marked, and I feel like, on the whole, people seem to be looking more for the prices tend to be the expectation is lower, or for lower prices on eBay, which, and sometimes not, but for the most part, and that's why I do mostly Amazon and save eBay for just like the really special higher end material, because I have it listed 75 on Amazon, and I think on eBay maybe I would list it for about 50, but there's as good a chance as any that I would get the higher price on Amazon, because people don't seem to do their homework when they want to shop for a book. It's amazing to me. Just the other day I sold a book for $300, and I had it listed on Abe and Biblio and Alibris for $200, but it was a pretty scarce title. I would think that there's sites like addall.com and bookfinder.com, which give you a comprehensive. It's good also for pricing. If you want to price your books, do reference that way. It gives you a comprehensive call from all book related sites, and I think if people were smart, they'd use that all the time, but they don't. People tend to stick to one site or another, and that's how you can get more, even though you have it priced at less on different sites. I just realized I don't have my microphone plugged in here. I'll do that real quick. Hopefully this will come out. Anyway, and with the microphone on my phone. Anyhow, okay. And these were two things I bought in the specials. This was marked at $4. Again, a book I've sold many times. I'm very close to Wyeth Country down in Chester County, PA, and there's a lot of Andrew Wyeth books material out there. This is one of the nicer books that in the related to Wyeth at Kerner's. Beautiful, really heavy, really bulky book that came out in 1976. Oblong. I love that word. And I've sold it many times, and this is beautiful condition. It's got a great dust jacket. I'm going to put it in a Brodart, like a Mylar sleeve, which I do for older hardcovers, just to preserve the jacket and make the presentation a little nicer when you send it. It's always makes me feel like I'm doing something really good for books. I mean, these books are only going to get older, and just to preserve these nice old jackets is something we should all probably be doing. It's got one little tear here at the bottom, but other than that, it's really pretty much flawless. So I listed it about $30 on Abe, not on Amazon. I felt like for once the Amazon price was prohibitively low for a book of this weight. Is going to cost a lot to ship, and I have a kind of a standard shipping template, so I can't really alter, or I choose not to alter my prices. So um, on Abe, the $30 it would be worth it. And I'll probably put this on Etsy as well. And the other thing I found with especially priced books was this nice little piece, Encyclopedia of Occultism. It's a wonderful edition with a slipcase, both book and slipcase. This was published in, I think, 60. It's got, I believe it was 1960 was the date on it. Possibly published a little bit later, but it's in that range. It's pretty, very well preserved for its age. It's illustrated. Got some glossy plates in the front. And I paid $4 for that. Again, it's probably just about the same as the other, about a $30 book. I've sold it before, not in this nice of a condition. There you go. But the thing that really made the sale for me, because I didn't do great with the books in general, but there were, I saw at the last minute, there were some nice sets. And some reliable sellers. Well, first I'll show you this one, or at least I'll show you. I'll hold up a sample volume of this. This is a Stratford Shakespeare. It's a 6-volume set. I'm just going to hold up one volume. You can see it's from 1872, and it's in pretty good shape. The bindings are pretty good. They've got, the gilt on the cover, a little representation of Shakespeare, the likeness of Shakespeare, and on the spine, and all the typeface is pretty nice standing. Not fading or dulling too much. There's a little bit of wear at the head and base of the spine, but there's no writing inside, which is, always good, especially when you're dealing with plays. Those books tend to be marked up more than most for obvious reasons, And I bought this for, I believe, $15, and I listed it for $200 on Abe, and this is going on eBay as well for that much. And I will allow for offers on this. That's something I can maybe touch on at another point. That you can, when you set on, the best thing to me about eBay is that it'll allow you to accept offers and come down on your price if need be. I wish other sites gave you that flexibility. So if someone wanted to, maybe I shouldn't be so forward with it, but the truth is, if someone were to come along and offer me $100 for it, I probably would consider it and probably say yeah. That's not the case with all books I put on eBay, but there's not a lot of, as people would say, comps for this particular set. Perhaps one of the reasons is because it spells the name Shakespeare kind of wonkily. S-H, if you can't see it, it's S-H-A-K-S-P-E-R-E. Don't recall seeing it spelling like that, but in 150 years ago, that's how they were. That's at least one of the ways it was being spelled. So there was that, which was very nice. And then also, I found a time-tested and true seller, which is a set of the Britannica, Encyclopedia Britannica Great Books of the Western World. I'm holding up a sample volume here. It comes in various iterations. This one, the brown sort of leatherette, meaning like faux leather, not real leather, but made to sort of look like leather. Made to look impressive, made to look nice on a shelf, and never opened, and as long as it exists in your household. This is 54 volumes. It also comes in, there's like a cloth version, there's a black binding kind of similar to this that also exists, the newer edition, and that can go for a lot more. This is a little bit older one, but they were in beautiful condition, as they usually are. Most people just have them to look nice on the shelf, and I suspect that's why most people are still buying them. Um, it doesn't really give you an accurate. I would estimate these are probably from the 60s, 70s, possibly. And the entire set, believe it or not, I mean, it weighs a ton to sell these sets. To ship them, you got to, factor that cost in. But if you get them cheap enough, or cheaply enough, I should say. Um, in this case, I got the whole set for $25, and I put a price of $300 on there. So even if I'm losing, a decent amount on the shipping, still worthwhile. At least at this stage of my life, when I still have a functional knees and back and everything. Although the way I abuse them, maybe at some point that's not going to be the case. And there was also, as if that weren't enough for the sets, there was also a complete set of the Time Life Mysteries of the Unknown set, complete in 33 volumes. I once thought that such as these, so the great books, or Encyclopedia Britannicas, or all the Time Life books had no value. Something I was very wrong about, and I'm sure, wrong about quite a lot. No matter how many years you put into this, you should never go around with assumptions that you know all there is to know. It's constantly humbling. There's always more to know. I learned way too late that these books go for a lot. I mean, not all the Time Life sets, but you got to know the right ones. This is one of the right ones. Anything sort of dealing with paranormal, mysticism, supernatural, whatever, however you want to say it. Maybe it was owned by the same person who had the Encyclopedia of Occultism. I wouldn't doubt it. People want these books. They are no longer in print. They've been out of print for a long time, and they're nice. I mean, and this is just one sample volume of the set, Cosmic Connections, and I mean they're full. They have color illustrations. There's lots of. And they're just. It's a nice presentation. There's a lot of information. I mean, it really stands to reason why they would be desirable. To be honest, I would see so many of them out there. I just felt like, oh, these are just like the sets. Nobody wants to deal with the sets. Some libraries won't even accept them as donations. But so that's a helpful hint I will throw out there. Incomplete sets even sometimes can be worth it if they're priced inexpensively enough. But if you get a complete set, something like this, it's really gold, and it probably won't take long to sell. Not like the Arnold's Park book that I had for over 10 years. You'll get a return on those right smart. I just listed those sets today, so we'll see. The Shakespeare will take longer, I'm sure, but the great books in the Time Life, the prices remain high because there's not. They remain in enough demand that the prices haven't gone down so far, which is what happens with a lot of books. That's how they get driven down. That's the word I was looking for. Driven down and down and down by people listing them and not enough sales. Doesn't happen with these kind of sets. The prices stay high, and it helps to have a really great condition. Okay, well, I've talked quite a bit, as usual, about some books I sold and books that I just bought. And there will be more because I just was handed a bag sale yesterday. It wasn't great, but I mean, I have to go through and pick out what I might want to highlight from that. I attended a bag sale last Monday as well, and there's more coming up. I like to talk about why sometimes I go to the preview the first day and why sometimes I only go on the last day. It depends on the sale. But more and more I'm going on the last day because you know what? I'm spending a lot less money and I'm finding things that I know. They're there. There's always good stuff to be found at the end of a sale. And I'm speculating more and more that a lot of the things that I buy on the preview nights, if I just left them there and I wasn't there and I go back on the last day, they'd still be there. I pretty much know that to be the case with a number of the books that I showed you here today. Okay, well, I'm going to leave it there for now. I really wanted to touch on more depth on certain topics, and on future episodes, such as I know people come to watch. Um, at least the people who are interested in selling. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are considering doing. I know there's more and more people doing it all the time. I see longer and longer lines. More and more people are trying their hands at this, and I don't blame. And they probably have questions about how viable it is and how do I do it. And there are obviously other references on YouTube and elsewhere to give very good information about it. But I want to throw in my whatever insights I might have to offer as well, um, through the next handful of installments. But I have to I have to find a way to get these a little shorter before I start doing that. Um, so I'll be talking to you again pretty soon, and I hope you've enjoyed what I've had to share today. And again, feel free to leave comments. Let me know if I'm doing this all right. This is all kind of new to me, and for starters, I hope that I don't have to do this again because I didn't plug the microphone in. Hopefully, the phone's picking me up all right. Sorry about if it hasn't, and you're straining to hear. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed yammering on at you. Um, I will sign off for now and talk to you next time.